Welcome to Playing with Perspective, the suspended animation podcast, where we hear real stories from real people and we tackle all sorts of fun topics in the areas of business, marketing, entrepreneurship, mindset, the arts, and, well, life itself. It's amazing what you will pick up. Thanks for joining us. Well, welcome everyone. It's Friday afternoon here in Sydney. It's Friday lunchtime in Taiwan. And I have a lovely guest today for episode 217. Nini Tolson is here all the way from Taiwan. How are you doing, Nini?
Very well. Hi, hello. Great to see you. Everybody, wherever that who's watching right now. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure. And for everyone out there, we're going to chat about the art of resilience and self-reinvention. So I'll give everybody a little bit of an intro into who Nini is. I know Nini for quite a while. She's amazing. In 2010, Nini experienced an aircraft accident that led to a 2.5-year physical and emotional recovery journey. This challenging period resulted in the loss of her job and financial stability, compelling her to embark on a journey of self-reinvention. Nini then built a multiple 7-figure business during the COVID crisis, achieving 250% growth in challenging markets. As a confident coach, she specializes in clarity, confidence, and cash flow. So welcome again, Nini Tolson.
Yay!
Yeah, sound drum roll.
Yay! Well, thank you for having me, Darren. And I'm really excited, gonna share some of my story, but some of my strategy about myself. And then I hope that will bring some good insight to your audience.
Definitely. And obviously, as tough of a situation your past story was, the silver lining is that you've been able to use that to propel yourself into positive mindset, help other people overcome roadblocks and self-limiting beliefs, and your coaching business is thriving. And I want to tap into that psychology for everybody in the audience, because that's where the gold is. So why don't you tell us a bit about your background and your story, and we'll go from there.
Yep. I think, as you just mentioned a little bit, I think back to 2010, on the flight from London Gatwick back to Dubai, I actually had an accident on the aircraft. And I think that accident really changed everything for me, everything.
Well, you were a passenger, or were you working?
Well, I was a crew. So I was,
right.
I was on the duty. And then, what just happened in that few seconds, when I walking past by near the back of the galley, that's what, I remember it's 777 ER in the back. With that accident, I fractured my kneecap in 5 different places. So I had 3 major reconstruction surgeries, in and out of the hospital, a lot of rehab. So really that 2.5 years was really, really tough. And I think not just physically tough, but emotionally as well. So, I lost my job, which is, I never done any job before. Cabin crew is my only job. I never done any job before.
How many years have you been doing that for?
I had experience with 3 different international airlines. So if I added up total, probably close to 10 years. So, lost the job, financial stability, lost the home, everything. But I think to that point, I was thinking like, instead of just giving it up into the sadness, crying, I saw it as a chance. Maybe it's a time for me to start a new chapter. So I think that was the time, I think I having that desire is that I do not want to be there. So I think that was a determination, for me. I want to rebuild my life. So with that thought, that kind of lead me to create a great business together with my husband. Like you mentioned, even during the tough time of the COVID, we really experiencing a very fantastic growth, 250% in a very challenging market. So I think now, as a confident coach on that path, on that mission, I do want to help more people to find their clarity, to build the confidence, but also secure their financial well-being. Because, sometimes all of us, we all need a little bit push to get to the next level. We all get stuck in the ruts, bad habits, or even the dead end situation like me that time. So I think if I can turn my challenge into the trophy, I believe everybody can.
I 100% agree. And we need inspirational stories like this to allow us to push ourselves beyond our comfort zone. Because that's the thing, you get comfortable, you just enjoy the status quo, and then something changes with the economic marketplace or workplace, and then you have to make changes. But it's better to kind of foresee this and forecast this so you can start to get ready before it happens.
Yes, and I think I see a lot. Maybe you see it as well. During the COVID crisis, a lot of actually get into that peer of the despair, and the challenging thing is that they couldn't get out.
Get out. Yep.
That's the worst part. And so I think that because I already I already experienced in that before, so it's kind of my pain. I know it's painful, but I want to turn that pain into the sugar, which is what I'm doing right now. So I want to be able to help other people to get out the rut faster.
Love it. And before we go into more detail, I'd love to know a bit about your upbringing. Were you always like that, or was your family very supportive of you growing and developing and pushing you to out of your comfort zone? Or what were you like growing up? Where did this come from?
I think my family is not very traditional Asian family, like a Taiwanese family. Both my parents, they all self-employed, they have their own business. So I think for me, when I growing up, I always see my parents work very hard. My dad traveled a lot, so in my mind, I always know that when you're facing a challenge, it's not for you to complain. Like that is the thing. It's like you don't complain. You just do whatever you need to do to make it through it. So I think that's kind of the good, how should I say, the good trait I get from my family. So even for me, I leave my country when I was 19. So I live overseas. I live in America, Cleveland, Hawaii, and then Macau, and living Australia for a bit, and then living in Dubai for 4 or 5 years. So it's a lot of movement for me, and I think that really kind of my personality as well. Like I like to meet new people. I want to try exciting things. So I won't say there's a lot of strain on me, like family expectations. So that gave me a lot of freedom to do what I want, because I know even some of my friends, the parent can be very traditional. They don't even want their daughter to marry a foreigner like Daniel, like white face, like some family, they're not open with that. But I think my parents, they're very open to it.
Beautiful. And the most important thing is you found someone to look up to in your mum and dad, in that they were entrepreneurs, they were self-driven, they made themselves. So you saw that when they had a goal, they had to go after it, and they had to overcome obstacles. And so that probably rubbed off on you guys.
Yeah. And I think, like I mentioned, is that they don't complain. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, for us, sometimes what we see even in our client is that when they're facing some obstacle, they can complain, people, because it's easy to blame somebody else, don't you think?
Definitely.
Much easier to blame somebody else
100%.
instead of taking responsibility. So I think even for me and Daniel, when we having, a lot of challenge in our business, we just don't complain. We just like, okay, something wrong here. How can we fix it? That's moving forward. I think that kind of the trait in both of us. So which can make, the entrepreneurship a little bit more enjoyable, I would say.
Love it. Yep, the journey. And it's fine to obviously, be upset for a day or two if something doesn't work out. But then the key is to get back on the horse and think about how can you fix it, as you just said. It's not about dwelling on what happened. It's all right, we've accepted it. Now, how do we fix it? What are we going to do? How do we go forward? That's the key.
And I think in life, that's one thing I like to share, always say with my client, is that life is like a mental game. Yeah. Everything that we do in life is emotional. Sometimes when we're emotional, we make bad decisions. Sometimes when we're in a good mood, we make good decisions. And it's all those decisions determine the outcome. So if you not be able to manage your emotion, you suffer the consequences. Does that make sense?
Very true. Well, let's actually get into that. How do you manage your emotions? What are some of your tips and philosophies around how you keep yourself on even keel and not reacting too much to your emotions?
I think after the accident, I really, thought about and asked this question, what really come next in my life? And so at that point, interestingly, I inspired by a psychologist, Rollo May.
Okay.
What I see is that in his book, he talking about, seeing the challenges as a chance to grow. So like I said, I didn't want to be stuck, but what do I want instead?
Yep.
So for me, I aim to from recovering, not just physically, but also I think that mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that I want to recover.
Yep.
So I really focus on a lot on the personal development. I work with the mentors, some other coaches like Brian Tracy. We learn a lot of his philosophy,
Nice.
but also Dr. Tajem, he's teaching the NLP. So I also learned those things. So that really helped me to improve not just my knowledge, but also my skills. So I think one really helpful technique was a timeline therapy, which is really helping me to get rid of my negative emotions,
Okay.
but also some of the limiting belief that I have in myself. So after I done that, of course, making my soul feel much better, but also lifting my spirit. This is a great tool. I also using this to help my clients to overcome their mental blockages and limiting belief. I think back then I also, create a new habit like affirmation, but also using, I'm not sure you hear about this, using the pendulum work to talk to my unconscious mind. So those are the habits I still using it right now. So I think that really become the source of my strength to helping me. I just like everybody else. I face uncomfortable situation. Sometimes I need to take risk. I need to learn from the mistake, but I think for me is turning those challenges into like a stepstone to lead to the destination. So I think because when I start reprogram my mind into this kind of mindset, that really helped me to build good business with my husband, but also I think create a very strong family as well. Like I would say that with my family life, not just a marriage, but the relationship with my children, I would say we did it very, very well.
That's great.
And I'm very proud of it.
Wow, amazing. And how do you keep your mental state sharp and positive? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you read books? Do you surround yourself with certain people that inspire you every day? What are some of the things that you do to keep yourself in balance that way?
I definitely do a lot of reading. At the moment, I'm studying the Master of Psychology, so that actually occupy a lot of my time to doing those studying. So which is fantastic. It's kind of helping me. I had a lot of practical experience with my clients, but now I actually want to gain different knowledge from the academic side. So that really complement each other really, really well. I think, like you said, surrounding yourself with a really same mindset of people. And I think sometimes I make a joke with Daniel, I say, oh, sometimes I feel like we don't have much friends because a lot of, when I'm talking about friends, it's like party friends, you don't tend to do those things anymore. You don't drink, but really you surround yourself with the people like, either having the business or on the journey to become an entrepreneur, that kind of people. And that really lived your life and your vibration in a different level. So I think studying, but also daily affirmation, that's what we all do. Me, Daniel, and both our kids, Nikita and Caesar, they do that every day.
Really? Every morning?
Every morning when Daniel walked them to the school.
Okay.
They do it every day.
And have you seen changes in your kids because of that?
Absolutely. If I share one of the thing, my daughter Nikita, she's gonna turn 11 next month.
Wow.
One of her goals she set for this year is that her average point is over 90%.
Wow.
So she said that on a daily basis, my goal is, reach, the average is 90%. And through this year, this year's almost finished, she get herself in the top 3 in the class. So what does that mean? So her average, her score average is actually already above 90%.
Brilliant. Yep.
And she's a very focused kid. So we definitely, because we see that in ourselves, and we
I'm
definitely
not surprised coming from you and Daniel. I'm not surprised your kids are focused.
and you know what? Like even Daniel shared with me yesterday, our son Caesar, he's only 6 years old,
Wow.
and yesterday on the way to school, he asked Daniel. He said, "Hey, Baba, what's the affirmation for December?"
Cool.
So now he's
So,
in
so Daniel
November.
gives them a different affirmation every month, a new
Every
one.
month. Every month, yeah,
Wow.
because this is what we do with our mastermind student as well. So in the group, every month we will change the affirmation. So when we change, we also let the kids doing those
Okay,
affirmations
that's
as
cool.
well. So they have a little bit fun on a monthly basis.
I like it.
Yeah.
And what about if we go back? I don't want to focus on the negative part of your journey, but if
Yeah.
we go back to when you had, you were recovering and you had all that hardship and mental emotion to deal with, did you
Yeah.
do anything particular, or did anything that you started doing then you carried on to do what you do now?
I think, back then was tough for me. Was I experienced a little bit PTSD because the accident, went to a psychologist, so took in the medication. So I would say that time was really the dark side of me. What we call is like that impact of the painful memory on my mental health. So I think that was the time I really think, I want to do something different. I need to get rid of those mental blockages of myself. And that's, like I mentioned, that's how I get into a lot of personal development. And then, I also learned a lot about emotional intelligence. That's how I really get myself out of those rut, because I need to start see the world a bit differently. One of the challenge also I see in people is that, each of us, we all experiencing something, we don't want to remember those memory. The challenging part is that a lot of people still live in the past, or they haven't get the positive learning from that events. And that's where people stuck. So even though the event has been happened to me, but now I have a different glasses, different perspective to see that, then thing will change, because I don't see that as a painful memory anymore. I don't see that as a traumatic event, even though it was, but I don't see it in the same things. And that's really helping me to lift up my spirit.
Love it. You see it as another stepping stone on the ladder to your success and your journey.
Yeah. This is a question actually me and Daniel sometimes we talk about, when I go back to my accident, I will say that, well, if I didn't have in that accident, maybe it will take me longer to get pregnant, because a lot of crew, because our schedule is very, crazy. I know a lot of my friends, when they try to get pregnant, it took a very long time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But for me, because I had the accident, I actually had more time to rest. So my body, more suitable to having a healthy baby.
Right.
And then it did, because we didn't try very long, like 2-3 months, and then I got pregnant. All my friends like so surprised, like, oh, so quick.
Great.
So and Daniel was like, well, blame him because he has good sex or whatever it is. But like this is we talk about like a biological clock, but like, because I'm not in the stress environment.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so that's different.
Makes a big difference.
But also, if I thinking right now, if COVID did need to happen, because a lot of my friends, they did lost their job because the COVID. But the challenge is that, crew is a very wonderful job. Being a cabin crew is a really wonderful job. Sometimes it's very good that you probably don't need to learn anything else beside of that. So some of people we know, that the challenge is that when they leave that job, they found it hard to fit in the real world. Because they probably don't have enough skill. So if I'm thinking like, oh, if this mean to happen, like COVID has to happen, I might get laid off, actually glad that happened 10, 20, 12 years ago because I already learned the skill.
That's right. And when COVID came, you were already well equipped to handle it.
Yeah. But if it's happened right now, like I'm already over 40,
Yeah.
how much time I have?
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, I know like everybody having the ability to learn new skill, but how quick I can do it. So that's just for me to, see things a little bit differently that, make me feel like, okay, actually the accident wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. Amazing. And
Yeah.
what do you find that you had to focus on during COVID with your clients? What was some of the main areas that they really had an issue with, and how did you help them overcome it?
Okay. I think I really focusing a lot on growing the emotional intelligence. I think, both for myself, but also for the clients that I work with, I think for me is really being aware of my feeling, but also handle them without being too hard on myself. I think when dealing with others, empathy is very crucial. A lot of during the COVID, I would say a lot of clients that really come to us, I won't say they're broken, but they definitely have a lot of challenges.
Sure.
They really have to like having somebody's there to actively listen to them. They want to be heard. So that's very crucial. And I think also for me to encourage them to open that communications, because only you be able to open that communication, like we knowing each other. That's where the change comes. So also, I think one thing very important is also let them know that emotion play a very big role in our life, not just personally, but also in the work life. And a very interesting statistic, Darren, is that to be successful in your day on a daily basis, 58% is really depending on your emotional intelligence.
I'm not surprised. I would even have thought it would be more than that.
Yeah, but it's actually 58%.
58%.
Yeah. So, each of us, we experiencing anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, from daily basis. And one negative emotion can impact your performance up to 4 hours.
Wow.
So, and you will need 5 positive to cancel that one out.
Wow.
And we all know that nowadays in the fast changing world, very hard to find a 5 positive emotion. Sometimes people even find it so hard to find one.
That's right. Yep. And I love that these days, emotional intelligence and empathy have become 2 words and 2 topics that we really place at the forefront of everything we do and everything we train as coaches, as teachers, and everything we learn as students. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, we didn't talk about that stuff. It was all about IQ, not EQ.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because now even with this semester, what I'm learning, also talking about, a lot of, scientists, psychologists, they're doing those research, is intelligence was learned. It actually was, is born in, with the trait. But we all know actually the intelligence, we talk about the IQ, is actually set when you were 15.
Is that right?
But the emotional intelligence can be improved through a series of the coaching and personal development. So that is a little bit differences.
So IQ is set when you're 15, but EQ can be continuously learned.
Can be learned.
Throughout your life.
Yeah, can be learned
and developed.
And like if one of my clients, she's a lawyer. When she comes to me, when she did a scientific assessment about her EQ, that time that the EQ is not very active, somewhere about I remember was like 72%. So that means leave her another 28% of potential unfulfilled.
Wow.
And just imagine if you can just improve that.
It's incredible.
Yeah, how good you will feel about yourself, but also how much money you can earn in your bank account.
Yeah, absolutely. And how happier you will be.
Yeah, because she got 3 promotion just in 90 days, so she tripled her income.
Wow. And so, how do you work with people to help them increase their emotional intelligence?
I think I take a very holistic approach to support my clients, in their personal growth journey. I I usually customize the method for each person. I blending a lot of variety of the scientific assessment for the mindset adjustment, but also the practical strategy and also the continuous support. So for example, I using DISC, I using Harmon Value Profile, I using Core Competency Index, but I also using the latest AI technology, which is the voice recognition system to measure their emotional intelligence. And this is so and you this technology was phenomenal. So as long as you have phone, everybody have a phone, all you have to do, you just record your voice in 90 seconds, just 90 seconds, and then the report will show me 1441 your emotional trigger.
Oh my
God.
no way.
Your physical health, your mental health, your stress level, but also some of the strength that you have in yourself you haven't been able to untap. That's the most amazing part. So those are the things that I use, to help my clients, and came through the individual coaching, but also through the group workshop. So I think my job is really to help to lead the clients to on the path of that self-discovery, but also that empowerment. Because to me, I think the goal is not just about external success, house, money, a car, but I think it's more about building that internal confidence that you have in yourself.
100%.
So you can positively impact all area of your life.
100%. Because without that internal confidence and that internal mindset, you can't, a lot of the time people get stuck and they don't push themselves past their comfort zone because they're scared.
Yes.
And then you never get to change. You never get to grow. But it all starts from within.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, sometimes when people setting a goal, which is that I also see quite a lot, is that sometimes people setting goal, not just, it's like they try to please somebody else.
Yep.
Like parents say, I need to do this, I need to do that. My wife, my husband said, and that also will create a lot of conflict inside of themselves. So that's why I say it's really have to come with that inside. You setting this goal is for yourself. That's the main things. And only when you achieve it, you can impact other people around you.
And so then what happens if you come from a strong cultural background where your family dictates so much of what you should and shouldn't do in your life? How do you start to build an internal framework that doesn't reflect that as much? And how do you continue to go forward without upsetting your family?
I think that's a very good question. The 3 requisites for change, for the permanent change. One is that you need to get rid of all your negative emotion, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, but also your limiting belief about yourself. Secondly, is that you need to take action, which is very important, right? You need to, you cannot just, dreaming or manifesting and not taking any
just
action.
Read about something. You've got to do it.
Yeah, like things will happen. But the thirdly is that you need to put yourself in the environment that supported you. So how can you do that? Sometimes that's where's the conflict coming from. I cannot kick my parents out. I cannot, So I think one of the important thing is that you need to set your boundary. So what does that mean is that this is what I share with my clients, that you can talk to your partner or even talk to your parents like, hey, I totally respect your opinion. I really appreciate that because I know your intention is good.
Yeah, you love me, you want to protect me, and you want the
the
best for me. I
intention.
totally understand.
The intention is good, and I totally understand. However, this is my point of view. Even though it's okay, you don't want to support me, but at least one thing I will need from you is that maybe not criticize me.
Be neutral rather than negative.
Yeah, be neutral. I think that's one thing very important is you need to set a boundary, because a lot of the conflict coming from when it comes to communication is that people don't know what you're thinking. We assume they know, but they actually don't.
Yeah, I like that.
So by not saying it, it doesn't mean they know it.
Definitely. Yeah.
So
communication is very important.
Communication is that key. So, and again, because sometimes environment can be hard to manage because, like I say, I cannot keep those people out. Sometimes I hate this boss, but I have to see this person all the time.
Yeah.
So you always have to back to yourself, how you see the thing, how you see the people, how you have to change from you. So where's that self-regulations coming from the emotional intelligence, is that we only can control what we think.
Yeah, we can always reframe everything that we see in a more positive way that's going to benefit us.
Yeah. So because I cannot like my clients say, like she would say to me, I don't want to swear, but I fucking hate my boss. When I think about his face, like, like he will complain, and that give her a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Because she start not enjoying going to the office.
Yeah.
But then we need to, start thinking, what's the trigger? You always need to know what's the trigger and how can we avoid that trigger happen that often.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's really come from within, we need to regulate that, not somebody else.
I love it. And I mean, the stuff here that we're talking about is quite obvious, but it's always the hardest thing to do because as human beings.
It's not easy. No, it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy. So I think in between, we also need to find what is something in between we can break the state.
Yeah.
Our mind can only hold one thought.
That's right.
Either positive or negative.
Okay.
You cannot have two at the same time.
That's good. Yeah.
So, and this is some of the technique I help my client is that we changing the picture in their mind. It's a little bit like hypnosis, but we're changing the picture of their mind, how they see this person. So for example, sometimes like for me, maybe sometimes I'm frustrated with certain situation or certain person. I will say to Daniel, like, hey, let's do some mapping across. How can I put my cat in front of that person's face? So when I see that person, I see my cat's beautiful face. So I don't have that anger. So it's, our mind, it's so playful. You can play with your mind in so many different ways, really depending how you want to play with it.
Yeah. You can, instead of hating your boss because of whatever reason, you can start making it into a funny comic meme, in your head. And laugh about it, keep it light. You don't have to become so emotional about it. You can change the way you frame it.
Yeah, because that's what I say to my client. I say, well, can you imagine that he's the one paying your bank account?
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, that made me feel much better. Like she was that made me feel much better.
I like that.
yeah. She's like, that made me feel much better.
Yep,
yeah,
very true.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'd love, Mimi, if you could maybe share with us one or two case studies or situations or examples of when you might have helped someone in that respect with their confidence and with their success, and they've really achieved some great results, obviously being very confidential. But yeah, I'd love you to paint us a little picture. Tell us a story.
Okay. Well, maybe I just share one of gentleman case study, very similar because he's doing what you are doing right now.
Okay.
When he come to me, he actually during the pandemic, he noticed that because he couldn't keep up his original job because he has been, needs to let go. So that kind of impact his confidence because, he's a man, bring the money home. So for him, all of a sudden he feel like he didn't bring enough value to the family. So, so he start looking down himself, with a lot of doubt, why I got laid off. So a lot of anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt about himself and questioning himself if he can find another job or do something else on his own. So a lot of self-doubts there. And through the coaching itself, first of all, of course, we need to identify what's the root cause. Actually, the root cause is back to the childhood that the father has been very strict on him. Always say that, oh, why are you making mistakes? So for him, as much as he want to try the new thing, he wants to do the podcast. He said to me, he actually loved to speak in front of people doing those things. But at the same time, in his brain, he's like, what if I make a mistake? What if I take this move?
That's right.
Things not going out as what I wanted. So a lot of that internal negative self-talk.
Because in his mind, making a mistake was failure.
Yeah, it's a failure.
That's how he was brought up. So he could not make mistakes because that meant failure.
Yeah. And even though, now he grew up, he's not receiving the physical punishment, but the look of the father or the language of the father. can make him very frightened. So when, you know, we definitely do some breakthrough work, you know, help him to eliminate those, you know, mental blockages between we doing the tasking of course, one of the important tasking, because he said to me, so want to speak in front of camera, but I'm so afraid.
Wow.
So what's my tasking? My tasking for him is doing 90 days Facebook Live.
Whoa.
So you can see that from
for
the
how long?
first
For 30 seconds?
for
1 minute?
for it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
all
Just something.
about that. And one of the things that when people break out to their comfort zone, we have to remember is an incremental improvement. So
Yes.
if today this person doing even 10 seconds better than yesterday, 0 second, that's good enough.
Right. Absolutely.
So this is how he start creating momentum, you know, start from 30 seconds, 60 seconds, you know, and he start talking more. He can talk longer, he can have more facial expressions. And you know what? I think after the whole program itself, like we spent about 3 months together.
Wow.
And after the 3 months, and then I help him to setting the goal, which is into his future. He actually give himself a time frame about 6 months. He wants to be actually launch his first podcast.
Right.
And then he actually achieving that faster than we actually planned. So it's actually happening faster. And, you know, and I think after a few months, he got invited just during COVID. I know that in the podcast, you have a certain summit, right? Have a lot of speakers or whatever, like doing those
podcasts.
Like a presentation, and he actually become one of the speaker.
Oh, wow, isn't that amazing? Wow, he must have been so impressed with that.
Yeah, he was so happy, and he become a totally different man. From a very shy, you know, reserved person, become like he can actually talk about in front of, you know, hundreds of people. So that's really amazing. So that's a wonderful case study. And I think another case study was a lady from the insurance field. I think when she actually come to me was some family challenge, you know, the marriage challenge with the with the husband. But the family stuff actually impacting her performance at work. So she start losing the clients. She's not hitting the target. So that gave her a lot of stress. But when we go back to, we always have to go back to the root cause. So the root cause was, you know, coming from one of the 6 family. She's not the favorite one of the parents. So for her, she never get enough of attention and the love from the parents. So even though when she get married, even the husband didn't give her enough of attention. She knows she's not happy about it, but she didn't say anything. So that kind of built up a lot of resentment, you know, a lot of self-worth issue. Why this always happened to me? So because of that, you know, of course, during the work, we need to eliminate those mental blockage. You know, like she said to me, she said, I'm not even loving myself. When I'm looking at the mirror, I don't know who that is. I don't even loving myself. So there's a lot of, you know, self-worth issue, confidence issue. So after we eliminate that, and then cause the tasking is actually ask her to networking. Because for her, for the longest time, she tried to hide herself. So push her out to doing those tasking. No, not like so many at the same time, because that will freak people out. So, you know, maybe like, okay, so like I say, you know, like this week, let's just focus, you know, let's just target, how about just one? Okay, we do this, can be going to coffee shop, or you meet a new friend, or even just ask your old friends out. Simple as that. So, you know, through the tasking, she started building her confidence, because she realized that actually socializing is not that as a threatening.
It can be fun.
It can be fun. It can be a good way to make business.
It's good for your self-esteem. It can give you value, self-value.
Yeah. And because she started networking, actually because of that, she actually tripled her income as well in very
Oh
short
my
period of time.
God,
I
Nini.
think she said to me in the testimonial, she said the first 40 days, she made extra about $30,000 extra.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you for coaching.
Yeah. So yeah, and then she very surprised because she never thought she knows she used to have that
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
But she haven't seen that number for so long, and that gave her a lot of confidence. And
Yeah.
then after the 90 days, she become the top one in her office making the sales, collecting those
Amazing. Yep.
whatever like an insurance plan they offer to her clients.
And then I'm sure she
So
stayed top one for a long time as well after that.
yes, because once you shift the mindset, it's hard to go back to the old one.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm not saying that.
You've created a whole new set of habits.
Yes.
It's hard to start going backwards.
Yeah. But in between, what challenge for some people is the maintenance. Is that maintenance? And then I think that's kind of where our job's coming from as a coach is actually hold the clients accountable. Sometimes it's easy to like, oh, I know I need to lose weight. I shouldn't eat like chips, but I eat slap. Those little things.
Yeah,
So those kind of a little bit like, what we do as well to support the clients, in the journey, they can make that change, more fun, happier, easier than ever before. Because change is not easy. We all know that.
No way. Change is one of the most difficult things. We all run away from change.
Yeah, but but we all know at the same time, we all need to change.
We do. Yep. 100%. Life is all about growing. Life is growth.
Yeah.
If
And
you're
I
not
think
changing and growing, what's the point?
and I think that with the COVID crisis, it really pushed everybody, including me, to really be flexible, be creative, do something you don't want to do, but you need to do. Like I say to you beginning, like for me, like I should be on this show 2 years ago, but I feel like, oh, there's so many things, is unnecessary. So like we all go through those things, but like you said, the people with the more flexibility control the situation, and that's the person get the win.
And would you say that generally your clients are with you for about 3 months? Is that the general sweet spot for change?
I would say that we actually have a lot of clients with us retain for very longevity.
Okay.
Some people 5-6 years.
Wow.
It's not because they, the thing is because when they change, they become better.
Yeah,
when you become
maintenance.
better, you have different challenges. That's the thing.
That's right. And you should always be looking for your next point of growth. You should always be striving for your next milestone. You can't just stand still. Yep.
Yes. So there's very different, we have a lot of clients, stay with us for a very long time, but some people, they can have very, that massive breakthrough they needed.
Yeah.
They feel like, hey, I can be on my own.
Yeah.
But, we do have some clients like, they can take off for some time and come back. It's because they're facing different challenges. They might need different strategy.
Right.
To moving forward. Yeah.
And as a coach, you have to also be very creative in how you develop the tactics and the exercises that you give your clients to do. Because that's,
yes.
You initially start to do the diagnosis and you do a lot of tests and you work out what the trigger is, but then you have to work out, all right, what am I going to give you to do as an exercise to help you grow? So that's actually quite creative, huh?
Yes. Another example, of course, I'll keep it, not too much detail.
No problem.
This gentleman, he actually hasn't had any intimacy with a partner for quite a long period of time. So of course, that creates a lot of frustration, but also his self-worth. So through the time, I actually, to start with, I'm not saying it's like, oh, you're going to have sex, but the thing can be start having a coffee with your wife in the living room, because he said he haven't talked to his wife, like having the real conversation for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Like I'm talking about real conversation. He said to me, he feel like she's my roommate. That's what he said to me. We live in the same house, but we're like roommate. So, through those little, as I first can writing the notes,
Yeah,
You know,
nice. I
writing
like
a
that.
note,
That's cool.
stick on the fridge, you know, so the
Yeah,
wife know
love it.
that he actually paying attention to her.
Yeah, I love
You know, those little things. And then, you know, the best news I received from him, and then is that he wrote to me, he's like, Nini, thanks to you, I love those tasking. He said, we finally have sex. I'm like,
it. I love it. And we're
for,
going on
for
holidays tomorrow.
yeah, for 2.5 years.
Amazing. There
And
you
then
go.
and then like to me, when I see clients can have those wins was really rewarding.
Sure, it must be.
Yeah,
Incredible.
it's really rewarding.
That's awesome. And do you generally work one-on-one, or how do you do your group sessions? Do you do it on Zoom? Combination of lots of different things? How do you work?
At the moment, I'm more focusing on the one-on-one
One-on-one?
coaching session. Is the reason is because, like I mentioned, I do a lot of mental blockages,
Yep.
you know, those kind of thing. Very, very sensitive. You know,
Yeah.
people don't want to talk about it in
That's
the group
right.
setting.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so that's how I do it. With some of the group work, I did more often during the pandemic. So that is more about just learning what's emotional intelligence. You know, they can
Yes.
learn some skill,
Sure.
but not necessary. Of course, they can implement it, but you know, student, right?
Yep.
You know, they sometimes some people just love to learn, but not necessarily wants to implement it. So that's actually two different approach. But at the moment, I really more working on the, you know, working with the people one on
And do
one.
you do it on Zoom or do you do it live?
We do it by Zoom because a lot of my
Okay.
clients is from overseas, from Canada, from Australia, from Malaysia. So I would love to do more travel, but I think actually working at home is quite good.
Yeah, it's the best. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well done. Well, Nini, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. We've touched on some great stuff. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with? Any other tips or tricks or strategies that are working for your clients right now that you think might help other people?
Okay. I think one of the advice that I really wants to share with everybody is that embrace the change and have fun in the journey. I think that's very important, you know, see growth as every challenge, you know, remember that confidence is a journey, it's not a destination. So I think that's very important. You know, I always believe that people have unlimited potential. So believe in yourself, you know, take bold actions and witness that incredible transformation ahead.
I love it. And one thing you just said is really interesting because I always hear a great phrase when it comes to confidence. It says, confidence comes from competence.
Absolutely.
And as you were mentioning, when you give people exercises to do certain things every day and they get better and better and better, that's how confidence is built. Confidence
Yes.
doesn't come just from the ether. You have to build it through competence. And the better you do something, the more you do something, the better you get at it, the more confident you feel. So you just have to do it over and over again. And before you know it, you're a different person.
Absolutely. Just like, you know, when I start, you know, doing those debrief for the scientific report, you know, at the beginning, I won't say I'm 100% confident, but now if you ask me, I would say yes, because the past,
Right.
you know, many years, we've done probably 10,000 of the case study. So I know.
So you know exactly what to say.
Yeah, I know. I know my craft.
Yeah. And so I think that's the thing with a lot of people forget that confidence is not something that's just innate. Not everybody is just born with confidence.
Yeah.
There's certain traits, I suppose, that make people a bit more extroverted than introverted, but still doesn't mean anything. To be confident, really confident, you have to be competent, which means you have to know what you're doing. And the only way to do that is to practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, as Daniel said, like, this is what we share. There's only two alphabet A you can control. First is your actions.
Yep, I like it.
The second is your attitude.
Beautiful.
Which is the mindset.
Perfect. Amazing, Nini. Well, how can people find you and work with you? Tell us a bit more about that.
I think your audience, you know, they can connect me through my website, ninitolson.com. You know, they can look for some of the coaching information, but also some of the resources. They also can find me at Facebook. Just
Right.
type in Nini Tolson. They can, find some regular insight. I share some of the, content there, but also write to me at nini@ninitolson.com.
Yep.
So, feel free to reach out. I do love to connect with the people who wants to make the change, but also people already like-minded individual on their journey of the growth and empowerment.
Amazing. Well, Nini, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We waited so many years, but it's been very worth it. It's been an amazing show, and it's been such a pleasure to talk to you, and I can feel your energy on the other side, and I can feel that you really care about other people and that you would be an amazing coach. So I definitely would recommend people to go and have a chat with Nini, because she has a certain energy that makes you feel comfortable, but it's backed up with action. She's not going to let you get away with not doing anything.
No.
I can just see that. You're not going to get away with anything with Nini. So definitely check her stuff out. I'll put all the links in the show notes. And thanks again for joining us. We'll see you very, very soon for our next episode of Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast. Thanks again, Nini.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure. Thanks again for joining me for another episode of Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast. If you would like to join me as a guest on the show, I would be delighted to collaborate. Feel free to buzz me on 0414 659 800 or email me on darren@suspendedanimation.com.au. I'm always on the lookout for great guests who can share their stories and expertise with my community. Also, if you have been thinking about putting your own podcast together and not sure where to begin, look no further. I run a really simple 3-part podcasting course, one-on-one with me, where I walk you through the entire podcasting journey. You will end up with a fantastic new podcast to start sharing right away. Feel free to get in touch to discuss further. But for now, though, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.